The Galactic Council chamber erupted into absolute pandemonium. Well, as much pandemonium as a 14,000-year-old governing body could manage while maintaining proper diplomatic decorum. Which, honestly, wasn't saying much. "We are all going to die," Chancellor Vorp screamed, his 6 tentacles waving frantically as he knocked over the ceremonial peace chalice for the 3rd time that session. The purple liquid spilled across the ancient stone floor, and everyone just ignored it. We had bigger problems. Councilmember Thrix of the Klep Consortium slammed her crystalline appendage against her speaking podium. "Order! There must be order!" She sounded about as composed as a fledgling facing its first space journey, which meant not at all that I sat there in my assigned seat, desperately wishing I'd called in sick that morning. 3,000 years of flawless attendance. And this was the day I chose to show up. The humans have 300 warships parked outside our solar system. Ambassador Zeph muttered, his usually proud crest drooping like a wilted flower. 300 warships? That's not even the scary part, whispered Councilmember Jax from the Outer Rim Trading Guild. His species communicated through bioluminescent patterns on their skin, and right now, his body was flashing a nauseating combination of terror orange and doom purple. Did you see the designs on those ships? Oh yes, we'd all seen them. They were flowers. Giant, vibrant flowers painted across the hull of each massive destroyer. Not skulls, not threatening symbols of death and destruction. Flowers, which somehow made it infinitely more terrifying. Maybe if we just pretend this never happened, suggested Counselor Max 7, his circuitry flickering with uncertainty. We could send them a fruit basket. The entire chamber fell silent. Even the automated translators seemed to pause in disbelief. A fruit basket, Commissioner Thal repeated slowly, his massive form trembling. After we accidentally declared war on the entire human civilization. You want to send them a fruit basket? Look, Vorp interjected, leaning forward conspiratorially. In my defense, who puts their homeworld in sector designation Earth on official forms? It sounds like a measurement unit. How was I supposed to know? It was an actual planet. A collective groan rippled through the chamber. We've been through this 100 times already. You literally circled destroy all planets in this sector on the war declaration form. Thrix reminded him acidly. And then you pressed the submit button twice. Because the system lagged. The system always lags. Vorp protested. And Earth? It's such a generic name. It's like calling your planet ground or dirt place. I buried my face in my manipulative appendages. This was it. This was how the Galactic Council died. Not with a bang, but with a whimper of bureaucratic incompetence and administrative errors. Attention! The chamber's communication system crackled to life, broadcasting a message from outside. This is Captain Julia Reeves of the United Human Fleet. We are here to discuss certain recent misunderstandings. We all exchanged nervous glances. Discuss was a very polite way of saying exact our bloody revenge for your attempt to wipe out our entire species. Perhaps if we explain about the filing error. Zeph suggested weakly. Humans are reasonable creatures, right? They will understand it was just a simple mistake. Council member Nix, who specialized in xenobiological psychology, shook her head grimly. Humans have a saying, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Try to genocide my entire species, and we turn your war into a cautionary tale told around campfires for generations. That's not a real saying, Mech 7 protested. It is now, Nix replied dryly. The main view screen flickered on, revealing Captain Julia Reeve herself. She stood there in her crisp military uniform, surrounded by what appeared to be flowering plants in the background. On a warship, she was literally growing a garden on her destroyer. Greetings, esteemed Galactic Council, she said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. We received your declaration of war. Quite the surprise, I must say. There was a mistake. Vorp blurted out before anyone could stop him. The filing system. It was supposed to be sector designation Worth. You know, that asteroid mining operation owned by Thompson Industries? They were behind on their protection payments. Captain Reeves raised one elegant eyebrow. So, you intended to declare war on a mining operation, but accidentally declared war on Earth instead. Yes, exactly. A completely understandable mix-up. She tilted her head slightly. Tell me, Chancellor Vorp, do you often resolve payment disputes with total planetary annihilation? The chamber fell so quiet you could hear Thrix's crystalline appendage sweating, which sounded like tiny bells chiming. It was oddly musical for such a terrifying moment. Well, you see, protection payments are very important in our sector. Vorp stammered. Fascinating, Captain Reeves mused. She turned to someone off-screen. Commander Harrison, did you bring the Council's file? The one labeled Standard Diplomatic Procedures? A human male stepped into view, carrying what looked like a data pad. Right here, Captain. 147 pages of protocols for handling interstellar disputes. Funny thing is, immediate annihilation doesn't appear once in the entire document, doesn't it? The captain's smile widened. Well, that is interesting. Ambassador Zeph attempted damage control. Captain Reeves, please understand that the Galactic Council values peace above all else. This was truly an unfortunate error. We would never intentionally threaten Earth. Oh, we know, she replied cheerfully. We did our research. In the past 50 standard cycles, the Galactic Council has accidentally declared war 17 times. 12 of those were also filing errors. 3 were autocorrect issues. 1 was blamed on a ghost in the system. And 1, my personal favorite, was attributed to gremlins. We all shifted uncomfortably in our seats. When she put it that way, it did sound problematic. Here's what's going to happen. Captain Reeves continued, her casual tone making her words even more ominous. You're going to vote on immediate surrender terms. Complete, unconditional the works. And then you're going to implement a few reforms to your filing system. That seems reasonable. Thrix ventured cautiously. Oh, we're not done. After that, you're going to sign a permanent peace treaty with Earth, with a clause stating that any future filing errors resulting in war declarations will be treated as intentional acts of aggression. But Vorp started to protest, and Captain Reeves spoke over him. You are going to establish a humans-only IT department to overhaul your entire administrative system. Because, frankly, we have seen more organized chaos in children's gaming lobbies. Council member Jax's skin flickered an anxious shade of purple. And if we refuse? The captain's smile finally disappeared. You have already seen our fleet. 300 warships, each equipped with the latest human military technology. We have been preparing for this day since your first accidental war declaration hit the cosmic news networks. Your ships have flowers on them. Mech 7 pointed out unnecessarily. They're called forget-me-nots, Captain Reeves explained. A human flower that symbolizes remembrance. We thought it appropriate, given your apparent memory issues when it comes to filing the correct paperwork. Thrix activated her speaking podium. The Galactic Council calls for an immediate vote on the proposed surrender terms. All in favor. Ambassador Zeph didn't even finish the question before every appendage, tentacle, and manipulative limb in the room shot up. Motion carries. Thrix announced with as much dignity as she could muster. We surrender. Excellent. Captain Reeves clapped her hands together. Our diplomatic team will arrive shortly to begin the transition. Oh, and don't worry about the defense fleet that surrounded your system during this meeting. They're already heading home. The view screen shifted to show thousands of human warships emerging from stealth positions around our star system. They'd been there the whole time. We hadn't even noticed. Consider this a learning experience, the captain said cheerfully. And remember, in the future, when you're unsure about a filing form, maybe just ask someone to double check or triple check. Or, and here's a radical thought, don't use weapons of mass destruction to resolve payment disputes. The screen went dark that we sat in stunned silence for what felt like an eternity. Well, I finally spoke up. I suppose we should start preparing our welcome gift for the new IT department. Perhaps something other than a fruit basket this time. Vorp suggested sheepishly. Perhaps, I agreed. Maybe something with explicit labels. So we don't accidentally give them war rations instead of welcome treats. As the chamber buzzed with nervous laughter, I couldn't help but wonder what other filing errors were lurking in our system. And more importantly, were any of them going to attract the attention of other species with 300 flower-decorated warships? Only time would tell. And considering our filing system, that time would probably come with very little warning and a lot of accidental war declarations. The best part? We still had to explain this to the mining operation that was actually behind on their protection payments. Now, that would be an awkward conversation. 3 local days had passed since what galactic historians were already calling the Great Filing Fiasco, or the day Earth taught the Council not to play with the nuclear option. I stood in the newly reorganized Council chamber, watching as human technicians swarmed over our ancient systems like efficient insects. Not that I'd ever say that to their faces. After the flower ship incident, we learned to watch our metaphors carefully. Director Vikram called out Captain Reeves, who'd been appointed as Earth's special representative. She was examining our filing terminal with the intensity of a predator studying its prey. This system is older than my grandmother's recipe collection, and trust me, some of those date back to the first internet wars. Director Vikram Singh, our new human-appointed IT overlord, shook his head as he pulled up the interface. Look at this. The war declaration form is literally 2 buttons away from the pizza order request, and nobody thought to color code them. Vorp, who'd been demoted to assistant paperwork coordinator, winced. In our defense, nobody orders pizza often enough to cause confusion. Until today, I muttered, pointing at the blinking alert. 23 war declarations have been triggered in the past hour. All pizza orders. We have intercepted them all, assured Commander Harrison, who seemed to spend his time either laughing at our incompetence or preventing it from causing additional diplomatic incidents. Though I must say, the Serpentis Empire was very confused about why you threatened to annihilate them with extra cheese and olives. The chamber doors whooshed open dramatically. They hadn't whooshed in 3 millennia, but the humans had been busy. Ambassador Jax scuttled in, his bioluminescent skin flashing the urgency green of impending doom. Councilmember Lee, he said, addressing me specifically, we have a situation. The mining operation in the Worth sector, they have just been attacked. The room fell silent. Even the humans stopped mid-installation. Attack! Director Singh raised his eyebrows. Thought that was your original target. It was. Vor protested, but we never actually sent anyone. The real military doesn't respond to filing errors. Most of the time, muttered Commissioner Thal, who'd been demoted to official apology draft composer. So who attacked them? Captain Reeves was already pulling up galactic battle networks. We are still determining that. Jax's skin flickered nervous yellow. But here's the thing. The attackers were using our ships. Our actual ships. The ones we keep for defensive purposes. You were saying someone stole your ships. Commander Harrison clarified slowly. To attack the place you accidentally meant to attack in the first place. Yes. Jax offered weakly. This is better than the soap operas my aunt watches, laughed Captain Reeves. She turned to her team. All right, people. Looks like we've got ourselves a genuine mystery. Lee, Jax, you are with me. We are going to figure out who's playing with your warships. But we surrendered. Vor protested. We can't just investigate things. Relax, filing catastrophe. Reeves grinned. You surrendered. Not Earth. And last I checked, we are now officially your allies. So when someone steals our allies' ships to attack people, we have to look into it. 10 minutes later, I found myself aboard Captain Reeves' flagship, the Daffodil's Revenge, along with Ambassador Jax and a team of human investigators who seemed terrifyingly competent. The bridge was covered in displays showing ship trajectories, communication intercepts, and what appeared to be someone's sandwich order that got mixed into the feed. According to these records, reported a human technician, the ships were activated from the Council's secondary command station. The one located in the, what's this place called? Recreational Asteroid Facility Number 7. I translated. It's where counselors go for stress relief. You mean gambling and drinking? Captain Reeves didn't look up from her data pad. That's such an oversimplification, right? And I'm sure the 5,000 credit transfer to the Outer Rim Casino Group is completely unrelated to your recent stress relief visit last week. I felt my chromatophores shift color embarrassedly. These humans were too good at connecting dots we'd assumed were safely unconnected. Captain, called out another technician. We have isolated the access codes. They were used 23 minutes after Council member Thrix's resignation was processed. Thrix, I exclaimed. But she's the one who keeps demanding better filing systems. Exactly. Jax's skin flashed understanding blue. She knew about every loophole, every backdoor, every way to manipulate our bureaucracy. Commander Harrison pulled up Thrix's personnel file. Says here she was passed over for promotion to Supreme Chancellor 5 times. Always lost to candidates who had stronger filing error records. Oh no, I breathed. She realized the truth. Captain Reeves looked at me expectantly. The council doesn't function despite our filing errors. I explained slowly. It functions because of them. They give us plausible deniability, allow us to change our minds without admitting fault, and create just enough chaos to distract from our actual incompetence. She's been trying to fix a system that was intentionally broken, the captain concluded. And when you didn't make her Supreme Chancellor, she decided to expose the whole thing by attacking the mining operation you accidentally meant to attack. Harrison looked confused. No, Jax's patterns shifted to explaining green. By doing it correctly, following every proper procedure, creating a perfect paper trail that proves the council can function perfectly when we want to, which would destroy your entire political structure, Reeves finished. Exactly. If everyone knows we can file things correctly, they will demand to know why we don't. Captain laughed, a genuine, surprised sound. So, let me get this straight. Your entire government is a performance art piece of organized incompetence. When you put it that way, it sounds absurd. It is absurd. She shook her head in wonderment. And brilliant. And terrifying. And I'm calling my sister-in-law in the Department of Redundancy Department. She's going to love this. An alert chimed on the bridge. Ships dropping out of FTL, announced the navigation officer. Council fleet, returning from the Worth sector. And Thrix is with them, Commander Harrison added grimly. She's broadcasting a message to the entire galaxy, showing how the Council could operate properly if we chose to. Play it, ordered Captain Reeves. The main screen activated, showing Thrix in her full crystalline glory, standing proudly before a methodically organized bridge. Citizens of the galaxy, she proclaimed, today you will witness true bureaucratic efficiency. Watch as I perform a military operation with proper authorization, correct filing protocols, and absolutely no errors whatsoever. This is going to be a PR disaster, Vort moaned, materializing on the screen via quantum communicator. The Council's approval ratings are based entirely on our lovable incompetence. Wait, I interrupted. Thrix, she's using the old protocols. The ones we retired 3 centuries ago. Director Singh looked up from his station. What do you mean? Look at her authorization codes. She's following the judicial warfare protocols of 2247. Those were invalidated after the Treaty of 7 Stars. Captain Reeves' eyes lit up with understanding. So her perfect operation is actually a massive filing error. Jax's entire body flashed triumph yellow. Oh, this is priceless. Reeves grinned wickedly. Harrison, are we recording this? Every bite, Captain. We watched as Thrix's perfectly executed attack commenced against the mining operation. The ships approached with textbook precision, broadcasting the correct warnings, following every diplomatic protocol to the letter. Attention Worth Mining Facility, Thrix announced formally. You have been selected for enforcement action under Article 47, Subsection 12B of the Galactic Council Defense Operations Manual. There is no Article 47. Borp suddenly exclaimed. We never got around to finalizing Articles 40 through 60. The humans erupted in laughter. So Harrison wiped tears from his eyes. She's performing the bureaucracy equivalent of air guitar. I finished miserably. She's doing everything perfect according to rules that don't exist. The attacks continued, flawlessly targeting non-existent shield generators, bypassing defensive systems using outdated navigation protocols, and generally creating a masterpiece of bureaucratic theater. You know what this means? Captain Reeves said after the laughter died down. We need to save her. Save her. I was confused. Of course. She's technically following every rule, including the ones about what happens when you use invalid authorization protocols for military operations. Director Singh pulled up the relevant section. Section 1442. Unauthorized military actions using expired protocols shall result in immediate court-martial and imprisonment for no less than 50 standard years. Wait, Jax protested. But we don't enforce that rule. We have never enforced any of those rules. You don't, Captain Reeves agreed cheerfully. But according to your surrender agreement, Earth now has the right to enforce any and all Council regulations that prevent accidental warfare. The implications hit us like a solar flare. You're going to arrest Thrix? I asked incredulously. Not just arrest her, the captain corrected. We're going to prosecute her for everything she's doing, following every law to its exact letter, the same way she's trying to operate. That's perverse. No. Reeves stood up, smoothing her uniform. That's justice. She wanted everyone to play by the rules. Fine, we will play by the rules. Every single one. 6 hours later, Thrix found herself standing before a hastily assembled Earth Council Joint Tribunal, surrounded by lawyers from 12 different species and looking significantly less crystalline than usual. The human prosecutor read the charges with evident glee. Counts 1 through 47. Use of expired protocols. Counts 48 through 93. Improper filing procedure. Count 94. Failure to use the correct form font. There's a correct form font, Vorp whispered to me. Apparently Helvetica 12 point is required for all war-related documents. I whispered back. The trial proceeded with mind-numbing attention to every regulation Thrix had claimed to follow. Each error was cataloged, each deviation documented, each failure to comply with proper bureaucratic procedure meticulously recorded. By the third day, Thrix was visibly wilting. This is insane, she protested. I was trying to demonstrate efficiency. The judge, a no-nonsense human named Roberts, peered over his glasses. And yet, Council Member Thrix, you failed to submit Form 27C in triplicate. How can we trust your commitment, proper procedure, when you can't even file basic requisition paperwork? The irony was delicious. Sweet. Almost too perfect. Eventually, faced with centuries of imprisonment for violations of rules no one had enforced in living memory, Thrix pleaded for mercy. I just wanted the Council to be better, she admitted quietly. Captain Reeves stood up. And you have shown us the way. By trying too hard to be perfect, you have demonstrated that our systems can only work when no one's trying to make them work properly. In the end, Thrix was sentenced to 5 years of community service, reorganizing the Council's filing system under human supervision, with one critical instruction. Make it functional enough to prevent accidental wars, but inefficient enough to maintain the Council's reputation for harmless incompetence. 6 months later, I sat in the newly reformed Council chamber, watching Vorp, reinstated as Chancellor after winning the popular vote with his campaign slogan, "Vote for the devil you know can't file properly," struggle with the updated interface. I can't find the war declaration form, he complained. That's because it's been renamed to Stern Diplomatic Protest, Director Singh explained patiently. And it requires 5 independent verifications before processing. But what if I really need to declare war? Then it will only take 15 minutes instead of 3 seconds. Consider it insurance against future filing errors. Captain Reeves, who'd accepted a permanent advisory position, raised her coffee mug. To the Galactic Council, may your governance always be just incompetent enough to be lovable, but never quite incompetent enough to end the universe. To filing errors, we cheered back. And somewhere in the depths of the Council archives, Thrix continued her work, creating a system of organized chaos that would serve the galaxy for generations to come. A system where war was just a typo away, but just far enough to prevent actual catastrophe. Yes, it turned out, humans didn't need to conquer the galaxy. They just needed to help it understand itself. Sometimes the best form of galactic government was controlled incompetence. Who knew? Well, besides Earth. They figured it out in the first 15 minutes. Typical humans. Always ruining the fun of watching other species make spectacular mistakes. Not as a tale of military conquest, but as a cautionary reminder that sometimes the most powerful weapon isn't a laser cannon or a nova bomb. It's a perfectly filled out form. And yes, the mining operation in the Worth sector eventually received their invoice. 6 months late, with the wrong amount, and in a currency that hadn't been used in 700 years. Some things never change.